Good morning. How are you? Very good. My name is Kona. I'm a principal with EDSA Incorporated. We're land planners and landscape architects based in the States in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's my pleasure to be here today. I'd like to thank Mohammed for his hospitality and thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us this morning and listen to a little bit about our work in the Middle East and North Africa. So our firm, EDSA, has been around for quite some time. We actually started in 1960. Our earliest projects in the Middle East was in Saudi Arabia, a project called Sunrise back in the 1970s. So we've been working in this region for quite some time. Many of our projects are award-winning projects. We really believe in making sure that we provide quality and design. And also we have quite a big range of work that covers the globe. We've been working all over the world. Our firm is about 125 employees based in Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, Florida, also in Baltimore, Maryland, New York City, and we have an international office in Beijing, China. I'm sure you all know at one point we were in Abu Dhabi because times were much busier than they were before, but we still do a lot of work in the region. So our firm believes in global presence. We're all over the globe. For us, understanding cultures and working in as many places as we can is really part of our business. It's a hallmark that we trust and believe in. This is the type of work we do in our sectors. We're based in many different geographic locations, as you can see in the chart. And we also do quite a bit of work in the realm of landscape architecture, from hospitality all the way to attractions and entertainment, as well as campuses and those types of projects. Our planning process, we've been doing master planning for several decades, and we really understand that there is a process to design. It's very similar to a scientist. There's a scientific process, so you have to follow these certain steps to make sure that things are taking shape as you go along. So we always start with an understanding of the project, an understanding of the land, a very good understanding of our client, because our clients are very important, and many times our clients are the people who are buying from our clients, so we need to understand them as well. And then we vision. We get a lot of people involved in the process so they understand what we're trying to do and we understand what they need. And then we also take it all the way through implementation. So for us, it's not about master planning, it's about building projects. We like to see things built. We also like to see people enjoy the spaces that we design. The way we work, we're a team. At EDSA, there are several very high performing designers. We work in studios, so each studio is based around a design principle. I'm one of the principals at EDSA, and I run a small studio of about 10 people. And we work on all types of projects, from a campus one day to a residential project the next day to a healthcare project the next day, and it keeps things very fluid. But for us, it's very important that a principal is involved in the project from start to finish so that we have continuous expertise throughout the process. Types of projects we work on, from hospitality all the way down to parks and public realm. And then some of our experience. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to run through some of our experience now that you've gotten a chance to know who we are. Touched on some of the projects that we've been working on here in the Middle East and North Africa. And then I'm going to show you two case studies of some projects that we've been working on that are very exciting, ongoing projects. In the realm of arts and entertainment, we've done quite a few projects in this arena, which are really excited. This is something that we didn't think we would be doing. However, we realized that we're very good at master planning, and the big idea is to bring together all the specialists to help you get there. This is Al Ain. Basically, it's in the middle of between Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Al Ain is a project that really shaped our whole space when it comes to this type of work. We have never done a very large wildlife park like this before, so we had to bring in several different designers to work with us. And this represents all of the deserts, the different environments for animals that were very important to Sheikh Zayed. This is Al Maraya Central. Mixed use, shopping, destination, entertainment. We've been doing a lot of work with Majid Al Futtaim. This type of business is really exploding, and I know you guys are familiar with Cairo Festival City. You can see that these types of projects that bring people out and bring them together are very important in our world today. This is Blue Waters. I'm going to touch on this a little bit later. This is also in Dubai. This project is very transformative. It's something that we had quite a bit of fun working on. It's very exciting and something that's very intricate. In Cairo Central Park, some of you are probably very familiar with the new capital. This was a project that we were approached to participate on with a local urban design consortium, UDC +5 here in Cairo. Dr. Tamer Korzati brought us onto the project to look specifically at the Central Park. It's a very ambitious project, but it's something that we're very proud of, and it's actually getting built. Okay. I have 3 microphones now. Is it okay to dim the lights a little bit for the screen? Yes. Can you all see the screen okay? Maybe dim it just a little bit. Yeah, dim it, yeah. It's a very exciting project. We took it through the visualization, the conceptual design, and we handed it off to our local partners to continue the work. And that's how we work. We collaborate with all of our local partners around the region. It's very important for us to understand the local materials and understand how things are being done in the area. This is the Opera House in downtown Dubai, also another project that was very transformative to this area. So you see Dubai is now becoming more and more hospitable. Over the years it wasn't so nice, but now it's really starting to transform. And another sort of arts and entertainment project, Atlantis. We started working with Saul Kerzner with Kerzner International several years ago in Paradise Island in the Bahamas, and we followed his brand around the world. This is one of our favorite projects here in Dubai on the Palm. It has everything from hotels to entertainment, water slides, all the fun stuff. Moving from there, I'm going to talk about some hospitality destinations that we've worked on, which we're very excited about. Ancient Sands here in Egypt. This is down in Al Guna. Many of you are familiar with that master plan project. That's really done very well. Our client, Orascom, has taken us to many other parts of the region, and we've been working very closely with them on several very interesting projects. This is a Four Seasons Bahrain that turned out very well. It's an island. They like islands in Bahrain, as you can imagine. So it's mixed use in many cases, but also a very high-end 5-star resort hotel. This is Medina Jumeirah in Dubai, also one of my favorite projects. What's wonderful about this project is that it really introduces a lot of elements of Islamic architecture, which we think is very authentic. It's nice to do things that are wild and cutting edge, but it's also nice to do things that are rich in culture. And Dubai needs this, for sure. If you're here in Egypt, you have it. So Dubai really needs it. And this is Mazan Beach in Morocco. We've done quite a bit of work in Morocco, mostly master planning, but also several projects related to resort detail design that have been built. One and only Mirage. This hotel in Dubai really sort of transformed our character when it comes to this type of work, and we've done quite a few hotels with this client all over the world as well. And then the Park Hyatt, also in Dubai, and this is home to many golf tournaments, and that's another thing that we understand very well is how to integrate golf and residential and all these aspects into the projects we work on. Residential living. We're seeing a very large shift in the residences, a shift more towards hospitality. So we're sort of blending hospitality not only into residential, also into healthcare, also into campuses. People want nice spaces. They really want to feel very comfortable in the places they are. This is a residential compound in Saudi Arabia, something that we've done quite a bit of, and it really kind of... Yes. Oh, I'm still not. Okay. I'm not on. Number 4. Yes, I'm testing it all for you. Can we dim the lights a little bit because it's still... Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that okay? You guys hear me? All right, great. Ahmed, I don't know if we can dim the lights because it's a little bit hard to see the screen. So this project is right close to home here in uptown Cairo. I'm going to talk to you a lot about this project later, one of the case studies. Celestia Hills, formerly known as Village B, is one of the master plan parcels that we have developed with MR Miser. And they're a fantastic client. We've worked with them on several projects. That's much better. 14 at Uptown Cairo. This is adjacent to the 14th golf hole. That's why it's called 14, but this is also a residential delivery that really turned out very well. It's a wonderful product, but this product suffered a little bit from the devaluation in the currency, so I'll touch on that a little bit more in the presentation. Jumeirah Golf Estates. We tend to see a lot of residential projects that introduce golf, and the thing about it, depending on where you are in the world, golf doesn't always work. And so looking at the projects that we're working on even here, it makes you wonder why developers push to have golf when golf is not always very popular in a country. This is Levana, also at Uptown Cairo, our first master plan. It's being built right now. They're doing all the cut and fill. A very challenging project, and we learned quite a lot on this project working with Imar to really understand what they were looking for in terms of sales for the future. I think, Hani, you know this project. It's Port Galeb we did with the Khafi group down in Marsa Alam. It's a really wonderful project. Very, very large, 44 million square meters. It really is something that kind of set the stage. The group built an airport. They really wanted to create this destination on the Red Sea. It's pretty tremendous. Not all of it is being built. We saw some of the first phases occur, and now I think it's going to be going through a regeneration. So if any of you developers are looking for opportunities, this is probably a very good one to look at. All right, so I'm going to walk you through a couple of case studies. The first case study I'm going to talk to you about is in Dubai. So I'm doing this MENA thing, right? Middle East, North Africa. And starting in Dubai in the Middle East, this is Blue Waters that I touched on earlier. Blue Waters is a very exciting project. This is a 32-hectare man-made island just south of the Palm Jumeirah. It's really exciting. It's a mixed-use project. It's pretty intense. So to give you a little bit of context about where it is, this is the island right here. This is the Palm Jumeirah. It takes you all the way out to Atlantis. Shows you how it's very connected with all of the different infrastructure that is being built in Dubai, from trams to highways and all the connectivity. So when we first started this project in the master planning with a group called Mirage, we didn't anticipate it to be so busy and so quick and so fast. It was a very tough project to work on. It was extremely demanding. The components are very straightforward. The main major component of it is this entertainment observation wheel in the center. Surrounding that is all mixed use, and then adjacent to the mixed use on the beach, for obvious reasons, are two five-star hotels. And then there's additional residential that's located over here on the west side of the project. Just a little view of the residential from the north, or the hotels from the north. So they see this as a world-class destination. This is something that's very different. And as you all know, in Dubai, everything is taken to the next level. If they can break it, they'll do it again. So the whole idea here is that you play and you're happy, you're bright, and you have a lot of energy. It's all about waterfront living, island style, urban living. So, even though that Dubai has this waterfront, they really see this as an urban waterfront. Here's some of the stats. The observation wheel is 210 meters. Of course, Dubai wanted to have the largest observation wheel in the world, so this beats the London Eye. So the Dubai Eye is something that's very, very special. Quite a lot of elements related to it. The residential, all the dining, food and beverage, and the two luxury hotels. 479 keys. Quite a bit of infrastructure. Local connectivity is very close to many aspects of connection here in Dubai. You get to the airport very easily. And they really see a very important segment of this being the retail. There's quite a lot of shopping here. So this whole idea of the plush vibe, to explore, to share, to shop, to discover. And this is kind of the vision. And the vision is really vibrant, it's unique, it's exciting, it's very Dubai. It's all about entertainment, essentially, and exploration. It's also a retreat, so people live here. The whole idea is that you can do everything you need to do right here on this one island. And there's quite a large mix of residential components. So you're a carefree islander if you live there, and you're also a life traveler. And you're calm and you're able to relax, which is very special in this place. So the Blue Water residences include several different factors in terms of residential living. You have, simple flats. You also have townhouses. You have penthouses, and you have apartments as well. It's urban, but it's also natural. And this is kind of some of the character. As you can see, the architecture is very modern. It ties in very closely with the water. This is a man-made island. It's all about this in and out and about. So the spaces are very open to allow you to experience the ecology. A lot of the windows just open right up so you can take advantage of the environment when you're there. And the townhouse product is closer to the waterfront, so it kind of steps its way down and cascades to the water. There's another view of it. Nighttime render. Another nighttime render. That's the main sort of entertainment festival area, and obviously the wheel in the background. So this is under construction. I can't give you a completion date because these dates change, but they're moving pretty quickly. You can see in this case here, the structure for the wheel has already been built. Many of the towers are under construction right now. This is a little close-up of the sort of infrastructure that brings this together. It's pretty intense, the amount of work that goes into a project like this. And that's a view of it, very recent view of it under construction. You can see the wheel is just about complete with its structure, just waiting for the pods to go into it. So that's Blue Waters. Now closer to home, Uptown Cairo. When we were first asked to work on this project, we were pretty excited about it, and we're really happy that it worked out for us because this group, Imar Misa, they're fantastic. They're one of our best clients that we've ever worked with. But one of the things that I wanted to touch on is my love for this country. I'm from Liberia, West Africa. I'm sure you guys know George Weah, right? Opong, yeah. See, he's our president now, which is very cool to have a football star as your president. Egypt is special. I first came to Egypt as a young boy in architecture school, a young man, and I was immediately impressed. I understood the culture, the pyramids, the people. The one thing about Egyptians that I find very rich is that they are the most friendly people that I know. And it's just fantastic to get to know people here in this country because, the friendships that I've made from being here are friendships that I'll never forget. And a lot of people think Cairo is crazy with the traffic and all this stuff. I love it. I love it. I think it's fantastic. It's rich. It makes life feel like you're living because it's always something going on. It's wonderful because there's all these bright colors and there's food and there's a market and people are trading and people are really living, understanding that life is not about sitting around. But it's also very strong in faith. And I think that's extremely important, that everybody is very tied to their culture. And what I find most important is all about friendships. And this is where I met Hani. This is Port Galib. And we're on site. We're looking at all the different elements of the project and discussing with our project and finding out from our client how we can make it work best. And so this is what it's all about for me as a designer. This is what it really means, is to create wonderful places for people, but to also make lasting friendships that I can have forever. So Uptown Cairo is located in Mukatam, up in the hills. It's a really strategic site. Most of the land around this is owned by the military for obvious reasons. It's some of the high ground in the area. Obviously that's the Nile there, and you can see the pyramids just to give you some reference of where we are in your city. The master plan was completed by WATG several years ago, and then we were brought in to help do some final conceptual work on several of the parcels. And the ones I'm going to show you are here. This is Lavana, this is Celestia Hills, and this is a parcel we call Z1, Z3, and Z5. And I'll talk to you about that later. They gave them all names with the alphabet before they actually marketed the projects. And this is the view that we were able to get out of the airplane one day coming into Cairo. So you can kind of see the topography. It's really dramatic. In all of these wadis, the Gulf is located, which is very smart. They use the lowland for the amenities for the Gulf, and then the highland for all the residential. If you go see it today, or if you get a more recent shot, you'll see that much of this is built out. This is the golf club here, and this is the sales center to give you some reference to uptown Cairo. First project I'm going to talk about is Lavana. When we were first asked to work on this, we were really excited. We got there and we realized that they must like Hollywood because they did the uptown Cairo, similar to the Hollywood sign in California. It's a very interesting topography. You know, that the hills there are very jagged, but they're also very usable and very unique and very neat. But what we found when we started to analyze it is it's also very challenging. The grading, and Mihaela, I'm sure you remember, has done some serious grading on this project. My colleague that's here with me is a mastermind when it comes to making topography work with all the different elements for landscape architecture. So we studied all the heights. You can see the areas that have the steeper slopes and the higher elevations. And we analyzed the spaces that would be suitable for development. And the light spaces you see in the middle here are the ones that were suitable for development. Anything dark is not. And we start very early in our concepts by hand. We still do a lot of drawing by hand before we go to the computer. And we do that in the workshop format with our clients. And so one of the things we learned very quickly about this client is that they were very involved. That's Haitham Fekri right there, is our client at the time for Imar. He's now with Eagle Hills. But Haitham was pretty dramatic when he came to understanding that he needed to sell product. So he asked for two things as a designer and master planner. He's like, I need maximum GFA, all right? That was the first thing we had to accomplish, but I also need maximum views. So, and he wouldn't accept anything less. He said it has to be the best. And for this project, everything was oriented to the north. So we had to create essentially single-loaded product, which isn't very efficient. But for this product, because of where it's located, it allowed them to sell at a much higher cost. So you can see all the lots are focused towards a Gulf, but focused towards views. You have views to Cairo this way, and also internal views to the rest of uptown Cairo internally. This is a digital rendering of the master plan of how it turned out. And then this is just an idea of some of the topography. This is what we were dealing with, a lot of steep slides. So everything was terraced, and we had to make sure that we had the right amount of space and elevation between these terraces so every product has a view. Everyone must have a view, and we must have maximum GFA as well. A little bit more renders to show you how it started to lay out, the Gulf in the middle. It's the golf club, and then all of the units in the back. So it's kind of like a hillside village, something that you might see in the Mediterranean. But the other thing we learned about Egyptian living and how families tend to buy together, and how you see a situation where several people that are related to each other have homes in a similar area. And it's just it reinforces the whole structure of family in this country, which we think is very unique and very important. So they had another site that they wanted us to look at back in 2014, and this site was very challenging because it was one of the sites that had some very dramatic cliffs that fell right off of the project. You can see here, this is a site called Z1. All of these slopes over here are very, very dangerous not to touch. And this green line you see here is an earthquake fault line, so we had to stay out of that as well. A lot of challenging aspects to this. So we started to look at the different elements, again, going through everything related to the analysis, and then doing some quick sketches to understand the program. This is meant to be another mixed-use development for them. They have another one that's located in this development called Emar Square, which is under construction right now. This one is meant to be a little bit different. This is Uptown Cairo West. It has views over to the antiquities, Muhammad Ali, and it's really neat. So we just developed some initial concepts for them to understand the feasibility. This is a project that we didn't think would move forward, but they're putting it on hold right now. We think hopefully it'll come back to us. But again, you can see the grading here. These cliffs are just a straight shot drop right down to the bottom. In our office, we use a lot of modeling too. We use SketchUp and we use 3D Max AutoCAD just to make sure that we understand how things are working digitally as well. This is another one of the parcels, Z3. In Z3, we looked at everything related to residential design. This is right in this space here. You can see they're all very odd shaped plots. You know, this is another triangle shape. It's very strange, but very similar restrictions. The fault line, and this is a setback from the military land that's over here. The way it turned out, we were able to develop several phases. These are the residential flats in these areas. I'll walk you through the ones that we worked on. We worked on phase 1 and phase 2. In phase 1, you can see our vision. Our whole idea of the vision was this desert garden, and really looking at how we can connect everybody from their units down to the outside, so they have the experience in the garden. We went through several different concepts, but they chose the desert garden, which we thought was the most preferable as well. And then you can see as you zoom in to the phase 1 and phase 2 of what we're working on. This is the pool. We did a lot of really interesting pools for this project, really to get people outside and get them in the environment, get the kids playing. Some of the elements related to the pool. It's the section cut through the pool, so you can see how the topography steps down and creates lots of different spaces. You know, we think that all the spaces outdoors are very important so that people can really enjoy their life. So there's birthday parties, there's events, there's all sorts of fun that's happening. And the landscape that you saw there is all indigenous landscape, something that we find extremely important due to the fact that this ecology doesn't really handle a lot of water, and water is very precious here. This is Village B, another aspect of the development here. Again, the sales center. Lavana is a project that I showed you earlier, is back here. This was also a very challenging development from the standpoint of topography. It laid out pretty well. We struggled with it for quite some time, but we figured out that this was a low land, and we had these fingers, and all these fingers really needed to have development on them, and so that's kind of how it pulled out together. There was also a really interesting small piece of land that you really couldn't do much with, but we were able to develop an apartment building here. So these are the phases and how it's going to phase out. This portion here is already built. That's their street of dreams. So there's the model homes that they've been using to sell the other product throughout the project. In the open space network, all this space down here is meant for athletics, and you have green parks that connect everybody together. And then again, the grading, Mihaela's favorite exercise. Lots of grading. You can see how the topography works. It steps down, and so we slice it to understand the different elements of how it works. And you can see when you're up on the plateau and you drop down to this lower area where all the sports are, and then there's another plateau over here, Village B, that steps down to the golf course. So it's very dramatic topography, very interesting. A lot of cut and fill calculations to make sure we had it right. For them, it's very, very expensive, and if you go out there today, you can see the machine just going tap, 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 tap. They're beating on rocks, trying to break all that material up, and they use it for backfilling, but it's actually less expensive to excavate because the backfill takes a lot of energy to create. And then again, we use the 3D modeling just to make sure we understand how the topography is working. This is going back to Z3. This is phase 2, and this is all in order of chronology in terms of the time we've been working with them. So that's this phase over here, phase 2. I showed you this one earlier. Phase two, their vision for this was community green. So we had Desert Oasis with the other one. This one is a community green that we presented that they really liked. It's a fantastic site. We went through several options, the schemes. They settled on this one with a very sort of geometric pool, but also ample parking. There's parking below this. So it's, that's very challenging. MR parks more than the normal code. So you have to really sort of work backwards into the product to make sure you can sell it based on what you have to park. Again, another pool, family friendly. This is also a very interesting community that sort of ties all these elements together. We provided cabanas, which you would typically see at a resort, but we're doing this for residential. And we also provided a little mini golf. This is an idea that we presented that they loved. And since there's a lot of golf on the property, we wanted to bring golf closer to this facility that didn't really have it next to it. And then finally, I'm going to talk about Z5 Village A. This is another parcel that we looked at. The parcels that I showed you earlier are essentially right here and right here. This is Z5 at A over here. Again, the fault line, and we had to stay out of the constraints of the Gulf. It's a very challenging site, so we went through several options, and actually on this trip we were meeting with them to look at refining the master plan even further with Perkins and Will, who are the architects that were just brought in to assist with the development of the product. So we went through a preliminary option all the way to option number 5. And as it's been refining, this is the option that we are landing with, and so we're working on that one right now. Several units. These units back here would be towers. We have a G+10 limit because we have a maximum that we can approach due to the height restrictions in this area. And then we have some smaller product here that's G+5. Everything has a view. Again, maximum GFA, maximum views. So these are all looking over golf on either side. These are looking over golf, and the whole idea is to give people some green to look at as well. Also very challenging to park. So at first they didn't want below grade parking, but it just didn't work. We didn't have the room, so we had to make sure that we increased the GFA to offset the cost of the below grade parking, so you can see how all that parking works in these areas here. And then again, understanding the grading and the fault line that comes through there, and just making sure that we can make it work from that standpoint of balancing cut and fill. You can see in these quick sections that the parking is below as a podium, and in some areas it pokes out, but we line it with architecture to make sure you never see the parking below from any type of amenity. And these are recent pictures from yesterday in our workshop. Nahela was working on a scheme and I was working on a scheme. The architects were starting to develop the building footprint. But what we love about developers like this is that they work hand in hand with us, where we can really start to understand how to make the product sellable. And as I said before, we still draw by hand. We do all this very quickly in front of the client in order to bring the product to life. This is the sketch of one of the elements that we thought would really help them take this to the next level. And then another quick sketch extruding the towers to see how they would feel in the whole process. So that's it. That's Egypt. Those are the two case studies, and I really want to thank you for your time. We really enjoyed being in this country and working with you. You guys are fantastic, and with that, I'd like to thank you very much for your attention. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Shukran. I can take a couple questions before I have to run to the airport. Yes?
Thank you very much for the presentation. I just have one point to make.
Okay.
So whenever we talk about like conceptual design, abilities, web, so we never talk about the loop technology. So we talk about connected cities.
Yes.
When do they respond?
That's a very good question. a lot of our clients that we're working with do realize that these new technologies are extremely important. For the Cairo capital, for the park, we talked about having a very respectful landscape that did not take full advantage of the water resources. So we actually had to calculate where the water was coming from in New Cairo to make sure that we're balancing that. But from a technological standpoint, there's a lot of interesting elements. So funny, I was looking at some work from Perkins and Will. They're using augmented reality. They're using these apps to actually help develop the architecture and design. And we don't see that changing. Elon Musk was recently speaking at South by Southwest, and he was a little bit critical about the artificial intelligence. It's something we need to be cautious of. I think that as designers, we need to understand how to use this technology, but we also need to understand and respect the basic elements of architecture, the basic elements of urban planning. Understanding how to make a place walkable, how to make a place feel right, understanding the culture that fits the place. So I think for us, I didn't touch on a lot of the technology. It's something that we actually inherently just do. And I think it's important for all of us maybe to speak a little bit more about it. So I appreciate your comment because things are changing in our world, and we should know as much as we can about technology and how it's going to affect our business in the future. It's a good question.
I know you have to leave, but just have a quick question.
Sure.
I know yesterday was in charge of participating in the competition for the elite Cairo.
Oh, yes.
Cairo,
yes.
Like 6 years back.
Yes. Yeah. It's very exciting.
Yeah. And I saw you talk today about the traffic speed, and that you like it. How do you see downtown Cairo? Because actually we're very much concerned about the revitalization of downtown Cairo, especially the historic part of East Cairo.
Yes.
How do you see that can be resolved? And do you see what's going on in the European capitals, which are kind of similar to Cairo downtown? Is that what that we can achieve? Reach that kind of downtown?
I really believe that old Cairo, downtown Cairo is extremely important to this place and this fabric. And it's something that I hope that the government will take care of, because the reason why people have been coming to Cairo for centuries is because of where it's located. It's strategic. So all the buildings, all the antiquities, everything that is in this area is here for a reason. So we would really encourage you to speak very loudly about how important these things are. I mean, being in Tahrir Square, going to the Egyptian Museum, these are things that people will continue to come here for, so you can't let it fall apart. You have to take care of it. And so for the developers and young entrepreneurs in this room, there's going to be great potential for you to start to redevelop and revitalize these spaces. I'll give you an example in the States. The city of Detroit, Michigan, went through some terrible times, and the infrastructure fell. People moved out. This is very similar to what you're seeing here. People moved out of the city because they're tired of the traffic, they're tired of the noise, and now they're in New Cairo. They're in all these different developments that are around Cairo, downtown Cairo. But what we're seeing as a trend, and not only in Europe and in the States, is that people are coming back to the city. They're reclaiming these spaces, and it's something that is very valuable. So we would really encourage you to take note of that and understand that that's not a passing fad. You're going to see a lot of people that maybe older and they've retired, that want to live in a city. They want to be able to walk to the museum and walk to the opera and be right downtown. This is something that's really going to shape the development. So we really hope and we encourage you all to speak out about why Cairo is important, and give back and figure out ways that you can start to help redevelop the space, because we know that the new capital is happening. There's a lot of infrastructure, a lot of development, a lot of investment going out in that area. But don't forget about why Cairo is so important. It's downtown. It's old Cairo. This is where it is. So, thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you so much for your time. I'm off to Saudi Arabia. See you next time.